Alright, so I'm doing my second tech talk on sports metrics. And what sports metrics is it's any kind of analysis of sports that uses numbers that's used to help coaches, players, scouts, anyone just try to come up with a better strategy for winning. And it's mostly applied to baseball and it's called sabermetrics. On the hype cycle, it's prescriptive analytics and data science, so it's really early. It's still not even at the height of expectations yet, so there's a long way to go. And in baseball, they call it sabermetrics because it was developed by the Society of American Baseball Research, and it helps teams modify their strategy based on complicated statistics from previous games so they can help do better in the future. And began in the early 1970s on these huge computers. Yeah, here's a video about it. This is about the 2000s and 1970s.
There are rich teams and there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap. And then there's us. We got to think differently.
Moneyball, the new film from Sony Pictures, details the Oakland A's success using a new approach to statistics. But how did that way of thinking get started? The seed was planted, oddly enough, by an aspiring writer in Kansas working nights at a pork and beans cannery.
I actually had 4 jobs. I was working as a night watchman, I was working at flipping hamburgers, I was working at a convenience store, and I was doing a little bit of teaching. The only thing I knew anything about was baseball, so I started writing about baseball.
You're discounting what scouts have done for 150 years?
We're going to shake things up.
Bill James started writing about the valuation of baseball players using regressions analysis.
I spent a long time trying to predict how many runs a team would score. And given how many runs they scored, how many games they win. Seems impossibly simple now, but that was all it was. At the time, nobody else knew. Nobody was counting it.
In 1977, James compiled all these numbers into 68 pages and started making photocopies. He took out a tiny ad in the Sporting News, and the Baseball Abstract was born.
So the first book sold about 75 copies. The second one sold about 300, and the third one 400.
It was baseball hobbyists, people who had quantitative ability but had no connection to the game, who were generating all this new, essentially, baseball knowledge.
If there's a runner on second and no one out and a ground ball is hit to the shortstop, the right play is to be aggressive and try to make it third. And I had written about it, and all of a sudden I realized the Oakland A's were doing it. That was actually the first clue I had that these people may be paying attention to what we're doing.
Bill James' way of analyzing baseball was finally beginning to take hold in the major leagues, led by a progressive front office in the East Bay that would soon take the American League by storm.
So if you watch a lot of baseball now, you know that it's gotten a lot bigger than that. Like this year, you've noticed that every team is playing the shift on probably more batters than they're not, because they have these spray charts that show what every batter is doing at every single at bat, and it's really just changing sports a lot. Another example is tennis, and they've been tracking the Grand Slams on the men's side and the women's side for a long time now, and they have all these data points based on all these different statistics, and what they do is they use that to make a kind of a strategy for the different players to use, and it'll tell them what they need to do to win. So I think this can go beyond sports. I think metrics is going to be applied to every aspect of people's lives in the future. And I think that's really going to change a lot of things.